Hey, Foot Clan, it's go time for fantasy football spring drafts. If your current site makes league updates difficult, switch to the site built by commissioners for commissioners. Flea Flicker offers email and live drafts, year-round access, lightning-fast scoring, an easy interface, powerful commissioner and dynasty tools, brand new taxi squads, and mobile apps. Choose from 125 scoring rules and 12 NFL positions. And best of all, Flea Flicker is 100% free. It's free. Visit fleaflicker.com/footballers today.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Happy birthday, Jason!
Whoa! Happy birthday to the ground.
Happy birthday, good friend.
I never thought I'd see 36, but here I am, alive. Take that, everyone.
That bit of lore from your life is gone.
Yeah.
If you don't know out there, Jason Moore, who's sitting to the right of me this fine morning, as he always does, has turned 36. And this is a day that we did not expect.
No one did.
So what else? What else can we expect? What unexpected things are happening?
Do you even know how to live life at this point?
I'm pretty sure I can.
I can't live.
I can fly now. I can do things that I can.
What, you got superpowers?
You're darn right.
You turned 36?
Turned 36, something that was not supposed to happen. Are you supposed to fly, Mike?
So you thought your whole
No.
life... You thought your whole life you were not going to live to be 36. For whatever reason, you just thought 35 was going to be the end. And the only superpower I've seen you be able to implement at your new age has been the inability to draft this player in Dynasty.
Oh.
Carry on my wayward son.
So what happened?
We're going right into that, huh?
Yeah, we didn't get a touch on it. Happy birthday.
Here's a punch to your groin.
It's important that players understand. Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. We are you, okay? One of the reasons I think this show has been successful or people enjoy it or whatever lies they say in our reviews is that
It's all true.
is that we are you. We are in these leagues. We are personally invested in these players. We're not just 10,000-foot view looking down at the rest of the players and being pretend experts. We're in these leagues.
We live and breathe and die fantasy.
I sit in an ivory tower.
We know that, Mike, but the majority of the hosts. And Jason, we had a rookie draft right away, right when the NFL draft ended, and Jason got it in his head that Kerryon Johnson was going to be on his roster.
Here's the deal. My team it's a really, really good team, championship contending team, but I am short one running back in my view. I think I need a running back. And it got late into the first round where all the capable starters that could be drafted this year and plug in were gone except for one guy, a guy who I really believed in going.
Carry on my wayward
Yes.
son.
Look, Kerryon Johnson is a player I really liked when it came time to scout. And him and John Kelly were the two guys going into the draft where I was like, if anyone in the NFL believes in them and they, draft him in the second, I'm all in. And so the Detroit Lions, not only did they upgrade their offensive line, get a new head coach, and they're changing kind of the mold, but they traded up in the second to get Kerryon Johnson, who I really believe in. And because he was dropping, I had the 206. I started when at the 107. I think, Mike, you were there.
Yep.
Started trying to trade for him, and I watched film, and I was between him and Royce Freeman. And I was like, okay, I'm decided. It's over. Kerryon Johnson will be on my team. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I tried at the 107. I failed. You traded back. I tried at the 109. I failed. Tried at the 110. The guy didn't take my offer. Tried at the 111. And I'm telling you, I gave everything I could. Good, strong offers, right? I gave you the opportunity, Mike.
These were not Andy Holloway offers. These were legit offers of you trying to move up and get your guy.
I offered T.Y. Hilton to you for Des Bryant in return for that pick swap. And in the end, it was I offered Matt Ryan, Theo Riddick, Amara Darboh,
You
and
did
a
your
pick
best.
swap. I did my best.
And you failed.
but that would have been fine if the player that I was trying to trade with said, you know what? I want this pick and I'm going to pick. Then I go, dang it. But instead, they traded that pick away for garbage. And I in my adult life, I've never been so angry. Like I was seeing red. And all I wanted to do was
seething.
get in a cage with another human and fight. I wanted it so bad, and I could have done the MacGruber throat rip. A MacGruber reference. I would have throat ripped if it was Daniel Sahar. If you were across the ring, I would have ripped your throat out.
Oh my goodness!
But I've moved on.
Well, you matured, and now that you're 36, you matured.
You moved on and carry on. Johnson moved to a different team.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about all the NFC rookies today on the show. This is the rookie review. We're getting through the NFC names, the winners and losers on each and every team, just like we did on Tuesday with the AFC teams. So we'll talk about Kerryon Johnson. We'll also talk about a player that NFL GMs decided not to believe in, which was John Kelly going in the 6th round. We'll talk about him and the Rams, and it's going to be a great show. And we have a ton going on. First of all, you can follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. That way you can stay up to date with everything going on with this podcast. We're on YouTube. You can watch the show. You can see Jason's visceral emotions when he talks about
Carry on my wayward son.
Also, Foot Clan, you knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
You knew
Yeah.
that drop was coming.
That's we have an obligation at this point.
When your name is Carry On, I mean,
Yeah. And when we're in our 30s and your name is Kerryon, that's going to happen. TheFantasyFootballers.com is our website. The community of listeners, which, by the way, if you join up at jointhefoot.com, you get access to tons of perks in season. You get an extra episode every week of the show that nobody else gets.
get that official Foot Clan
Moniker?
member moniker.
Moniker is not a word I use a lot. But you also get access to footclanleagues.com, a private forum to find league mates to play with. So good players that at some point you may want to get into a cage match with.
You know what else you get? You get discounts on fantasy footballer stuff, like the Ultimate Draft Kit, which is available for pre-sale.
That's very nice, Mike.
The lowest price of the season, and you know what? Foot Clan members get it even cheaper. Just saying.
Just saying. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. We also have a brand new giveaway. Everybody's eligible.
Give it away!
We're giving away.
Wait.
Yeah.
I'm eligible?
Everybody but Jason and Mike and myself are eligible.
Don't
Good
tell me
items.
what I can't do.
It's footclangiveaway.com. This month we're giving away a signed Le'Veon Bell jersey and a signed Alvin Kamara football.
Yeah, and that football is hot.
You can see pictures at footclangiveaway.com. This is eligible for everybody. You just go over to footclangiveaway.com and enter for free, and we will give that away in a few short weeks. So we love that. We love giving things away. We love having fun with the community. And look, let's get into a quick question. We don't have a lot of news, so I'll give you one piece of news, and then we'll get into the NFC rookie review. But the quick question of the day is related to something very interesting that happened in the fantasy football community. And bravo to Yahoo.
Yes.
Yay!
Great friend of the show, Brad Evans, took to Twitter to announce that Yahoo leagues moving forward will be default half-point PPR and one flex, a.k.a.
Ballers preferred.
the best way to play fantasy football.
We have been preaching for years now that our preference.
That's right, we did it.
Our preference
Who do
is.
you think you are? I am.
But this is a very forward-thinking move by Yahoo, and that's not to say that we were, right or wrong. Say what you will, but we like half point. And right now, if you go try to sign up on ESPN, you have to choose standard or PPR. That is your option.
Their default is PPR.
Their default is now PPR, which happened last year. However, there's not a half point default option. Now it's the default. It's not just an option. It's the default on Yahoo, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. There's no wrong way to play fantasy football.
Although
but
we make
there
it sound like it is.
Yeah, we sure do.
There's no wrong, but there is a right way to do it.
Exactly.
That's a nice way to put it.
That's perfect, Mike.
What's another rule that you'd like to see become the default in fantasy football league?
I got
because, for what it's worth, Yahoo, ESPN, Flea Flicker, MFL, all the platforms,
Sleeper bot.
they all set they kind of set the trend there, because if you go, you sign up, you're a new player, you get invited to a league, unless that commissioner is modifying the rules, you're going to play by the rules that are set. And And so they're setting the trend. So what's another rule that could be that you'd like to see as the default so
I got
players
this
get used
one,
to
and
it?
I am never going to give this up until it happens.
I know.
I hate it. I hate it so much. But I believe that quarterbacks' rushing yardage should be counted the exact same as their passing yardage. However many yards that quarterback gets, it's 25 or 20 yards per point, whatever your scoring system is. I hate the fact that someone like Deshaun Kaiser, who's a bad NFL quarterback doing bad things on the field, finishes as a top 12.
Mugging people, stealing purses.
Finishes as a top 12 so often because he ran the ball for 8 yards instead of throwing the ball for 30 and didn't get the first down, but it scores more. I just can't stand it. That's why Blake Bortles is a perennial top 10 fantasy quarterback, but he's not in real life. So that's my gripe. I want that change.
I understand the gripe. I do. I understand the
People
gripe.
are just used to it, and they don't want –
Like,
there's an advantage.
There's imbalance everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think you can pick apart imbalances across the board. But we do adjust for things like that. There are a lot of leagues that have 4-point quarterback touchdowns versus 6-point rushing touchdowns. So we do mess around with balances like that. I understand. It doesn't make sense that Tim Tebow can be, one of the best fantasy quarterbacks.
Playoff game-winning Tim Tebow?
Yeah. Oh, you're defending Tim Tebow to me? You don't have to do that.
I think we're a couple years late on the need for this.
I will say that I believe that the FAB system, the free agent auction, free agent acquisition budget, is the best way to run waivers, and therefore I think it should be the default way you run waivers. It's more engaging, it's more strategic, it's more fun, it's more balanced, and so we are big proponents of FAB. And so Yahoo, if you're listening, which apparently you are, let's get it done.
Yeah, that's a home run. That's anybody that doesn't agree with that hasn't used it yet.
That's pretty much the truth, yeah.
And my rule, it's similar to Jason's, although I'm not as passionate about it as he is with the quarterback yardage, although I do agree, is I think all touchdowns should just be worth fewer points. I know we started fantasy, how much is a touchdown worth? 6 points. Okay, a touchdown's worth 6 fantasy points. It's just such a monster swing in a week when you have a tight end go out and catch a 5-yard pass for a touchdown versus a player who is involved and gets 45 rushing yards, and somehow the tight end was worth more in fantasy. I think we should bring it down. I'm not saying complete nerf, but,
like 5 or 4.
I think 4 points. That's what we did to quarterbacks because we knew they would be throwing so many touchdowns. So I would prefer to play with 4-point touchdowns all around.
It's interesting. I always have a hard time between the balance of trying to make things play out closer to what's on paper and then the ability to come back in a matchup and have surprises and excitement. So I don't think I would personally endorse that proposal. If you were running for office, I probably would want.
Oh, I get it.
Jason, you have a bonus.
You're raising
Christmas
your hands?
bonus? Or I mean, a birthday bonus?
I have a birthday request.
Okay.
What about this year? The world famous Listener League.
Oh.
We make quarterback rushing yards.
We are in charge
We're
of
in
that
charge.
league.
We're the three commish. We make quarterback rushing yards the same as their passing yards.
I don't even know if you can do it.
Oh, that's a
rushing yard's a rushing yard. So until a system supports QBs as a separate rushing statistic, you'd have to do it manually. Which, Jason, if you're volunteering to manually audit all rushing yardage for the quarterbacks,
I'll have to double check their system
per week, that would be the only way to do it. All right, the one piece of news, throwing it in there, Marlon Mack, running back for the Indianapolis Colts, is recovering from offseason shoulder surgery. And so apparently he played the entire rookie season with a torn labrum.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting note.
I've hosted this show with a torn labrum since the beginning.
And we congratulate you.
I fought
You
through
need
it.
to get the surgery so you can
through.
step it up.
You're a warrior.
So you're saying that's why
when
the hosting has been
I lift my mug to my mouth, haven't you noticed
painful?
it's a little slower?
The Colts running back situation is going to be so interesting. Matt Jones was waived yesterday. We waved goodbye to Matt Jones. I personally added Robert Turbin to the back of my dynasty squad just in case maybe this is the Marlon Mack's injury. That was the reason for his inefficiencies running the ball, but adding Nyheim Hines as the pass catcher. Just saying
there's something
it's
funny.
really messy.
Something funny about if, let's say, Robert Turbin emerged somehow from the murky mist. There'd just be something funny about the fact that Alex Collins and Robert Turbin have emerged as fantasy-relevant running backs when both were just tossed to the sidelines by Seattle.
Well, and Kristen Michael, the woke one, is back with Robert Turbin.
Oh, let's get them all back together.
Yeah.
All right.
Just saying, it's. I would add some chips from the Colts running game, including Wilkins, who they picked up in the 5th round. Before we move into the NFC, I want to thank today's sponsor, Quip. Ladies and gentlemen, you hear us talking about the Quip electric toothbrush all the time. I love it. So shockingly, I use it every day because this is
good for you, Mike.
This is my go-to.
Good for you.
Toothbrush. It costs a fraction of the bulkier brushes and packs. The right amount of vibrations to clean your teeth. The built-in timer and guiding pulses help you clean for the full dentist recommended 2 minutes. It's fantastic. It lets you know, just without even having to think about it, you can just count. When it shuts off, you can, okay, 1. Well, now you know how many times it needs to stop to get to 2 minutes. The subscription is built for your health, delivering new brush heads every 3 months for just $5, including free shipping worldwide. It's got a suction mount. It's really easy. It goes right on your mirror. They're backed by a network of over 20,000 dentists and hygienists and hundreds of thousands of happy brushers. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/footballers right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/footballers, spelled GETQUIP.com/footballers.
And we also want to thank Pristine Auction. If you're new to the fantasy footballers, you might not have heard of them, but we talk about them all the time. All the jerseys that we're giving away, the jerseys we have on our walls, both in the studio.
Oh, Kamara's on the wall.
I mean, they all come from Pristine Auction for 2 reasons. 1, you know the authenticity of the signatures is fully legit. They have, JSA witnessed or JSA certified signatures all over. And 2, the prices are truly unbelievable. No one that hasn't heard of Pristine Auction believes it. Here's some stuff that went yesterday. DeAndre Hopkins, signed, certified jersey.
We need a Hopkins in
$80.
Oh.
$80.
Oh.
I just bought. I bought a jersey for Josh Rosen. That cost me $100.
You're saying not on Pristine.
Not on Pristine.
And it's
not signed.
autographed.
You got Joe Mixon signed football for $49.
Yes.
There's so many deals. We were there yesterday. The place is awesome. They're doing great things. And look, Mother's Day, Father's Day coming up. It's not all football stuff. We saw an Indiana Jones thing.
Oh, man.
So check 'em
Walking
out.
Dead.
Walking Dead. I mean, whatever you want, check them out. Pristine Auction, Pristine, auction.com. Make a free account. Tell them the footballers sent you.
Rookie Review.
Before we move,
what do you got for us, Mike?
NFC, I just want to know: would you prefer a white, a blue, or a red Hopkins jersey?
Oh, my goodness.
Tell me the target.
Are you telling me
I'm
that
going
I can get red?
I'm going red.
Okay.
But I will accept all, Mike. Are you getting me something
Maybe.
for Mother's Day?
Maybe.
Really, really, really.
Honey, I got me a jersey for Mother's Day.
Bad news. It looks like we cannot, and ESPN, if you're out there listening, we are not able to adjust quarterback rushing at all as a scoring option. So, come on, at least give us the option.
It's a weird thing, though. It's a weird thing because what if they go Wildcat and then hand it off to the quarterback? Do those rushing yardage count as normal?
If they go Wildcat and then hand it off to the quarterback, they're just stupid. What are they doing? Have you ever seen that ever?
No.
Yeah.
I've seen a few screen passes to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, that would be receiving
Behind the line of scrimmage. That's a rush.
All right.
Yeah. I found the holes in your plan.
That one time.
All right, let's talk winners and losers from the NFL draft in the NFC.
Cowboys.
Oh, the Cowboys. I think we all expected them to grab a wide receiver a little bit sooner than they did. They got Michael Gallup.
Love it.
A player I love.
Yeah.
They got him in the 3rd round, but they were pretty open with their desire to grab somebody sooner. Yeah, Cortland Sutton, they thought he would drop to them in the 2nd round. Winners and losers from the Cowboys from the NFL draft? What do you think?
I think they had an all right draft. The fact that they got such great value on Gallup was good, but I would have to say this isn't – obviously it's not who they drafted, but coming out of the draft, Dak Prescott is a loser here. Because even though Michael Gallup is good value, they lost Dez, they lost Jason Witten. They didn't really get a high-end tight end replacement. I know they drafted a tight end later. I think he's lost some pieces, and pre-draft versus post-draft, I think Dak was a loser here.
They did add Tavon Austin in the draft
as a running back, according to them.
Another weapon. So you might argue that the addition of Tavon Austin would affect whoever ends up, kind of the handcuffy situation for Zeke.
I wanted to bring up Bo Scarborough, running back from Alabama.
Yeah,
they took him in the 7th round.
He almost went undrafted.
Yes, but I think he is the handcuff now, personally.
He is a perfect type of guy for this system because Scarborough needs that head of steam. He needs a good offensive line.
And I think he would succeed. If something were to happen to Zeke and they said, okay, Scarborough, you're up, I think he would succeed for fantasy football.
I agree completely, but anytime it's a 7th rounder, their first job is just make the team.
I agree with Jason on that because there are other people there that will compete for that role. But yeah, any other thoughts on Dallas?
Yeah, you got to talk about you glossed over the really important thing here. Dalton Schultz, the tight end they drafted from Stanford, he finished his career with 550 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 55 receptions. Oh! So much fun.
Next team.
Really should have been the 55th overall pick. That would have been nicer.
We are morons.
Yeah, fair. All right, let's move on.
Giants.
All right, the Giants drafted Saquon Barkley. Obviously, that makes Eli Manning a huge winner. He needed help, much like Matthew Stafford needs help behind the line of scrimmage. Grabbing the best overall talent at the running back position, maybe a generational talent, somebody that is so talented that they can overcome issues with the offensive line, which, by the way, they did address in the second round.
I thought that was the bigger
with a
deal.
Really good player in Will Hernandez, a first-round grade type of guard. Eli Manning comes out the winner. He's going to have every opportunity. As far as the Paul Perkins and Jonathan Stewarts of the world, they're going to be like the people long ago who used to watch the cruise ship leave dock and be waving their handkerchiefs. They're just standing to the sideline.
People did that?
People did that. People would go when a big cruise liner was leaving. You've seen the Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
They'd go. They didn't even know people.
There was nothing to do in the world. So they're like, let's go watch this boat.
Titanic.
John Mulaney talks about this. Comedian John Mulaney. He said
Titanic wasn't really a cruise ship.
Was it not?
What are you talking about?
You weren't going on a.
It was a cross Atlantic voyage.
It was a transportation ship.
It wasn't a cruise ship the way we talk about the Disney cruise today.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, back then you wore a lot of layers of clothing, and you sat on a boat, and then people waved you off. They said farewell, goodbye.
Yeah,
they took off their hats and they waved them.
All right.
My point is they're not going to play a lot. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, look, I disagree. I don't like the draft for the Giants long term, but I think it makes them a much better team in the short term. They are going to try to compete with Eli. Eli's a big winner here with the offensive line upgrades. You got to remember.
And they didn't draft another quarterback.
Yeah, they didn't draft another quarterback.
Not early.
Fourth round, not an early quarterback.
Yeah, another high one. You also have the left tackle that was improved right before the draft and free agency. So the offensive line is better. You bring in Barkley, who's going to get the work. I think the whole offense is better. The only other guy that I might throw out there a little bit deeper, maybe dynasty, is Cody Latimer. Cody Latimer now looks like he's got the opportunity to be that third wide receiver. Brandon Marshall's gone. They didn't really they didn't bring in any replacement, so he appears to be and rumor was when Odell was gone, he was running at Odell's place. Obviously he's not taking that over, but that just insinuates he will be the third wide receiver on the field with Sterling Shepard.
Yeah,
with Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Evan Engram, and Saquon Barkley, at least their offensive pieces are set up for long-term success.
Yeah, I love it.
Eagles.
All right, we talked about it on what was the Tuesday show. We talked about the fact they moved up. They grabbed Dallas Goedert, South Dakota State tight end.
strange pick.
Well, they did just lose. I mean,
I have Dallas
They have
Goedert.
Ertz, but Ertz is a pass-catching tight end. And
So is Goddard.
And Goddard, it replaces
Trey Burton.
Trey Burton. So it is a strange pick when you look at it and you say, okay, you only had 5 picks in the draft. You got to make the most of it.
That's why it's
Backup
weird.
tight end might not be what you're looking at, but you take best available player too.
And
that was an opportunity to do that.
Just to get at the Dallas Cowboys? Like this
Well,
was just
I've
a pick to keep them away?
I've also heard that Jerry Jones was already on the phone with their draft pick, and it wasn't. So they weren't actually going after Goddard. I mean, it made for a really fun story.
have
Philly Johnson. We talked about it.
in my opinion, I genuinely think that this is I have Dallas Goedert as a loser here because to me he was one of the higher draft picks, and I just bypassed him in the 3rd round of our dynasty startup draft because, best case scenario, he comes in and plays the Trey Burton role well. But if Zach Ertz, who just got a long-term contract, is not injured, Dallas Goedert is not going to be fantasy relevant, and that stinks because I think he's a really talented player.
Yeah, Ertz is under contract until 2022.
Yeah, so it's and they picked up another tight end in free agency already to replace Burton. So it was a strange pick. He's a great player, and if they can get him involved, pay attention.
Didn't we see multiple teams in this draft? Baltimore and
Baltimore took 2 in.
That's what I mean. There were multiple teams that kind of went that 2 tight end approach. Baltimore took 2 very talented ones. There's utilization there. There's flexibility. There's
the question for me is
mismatches.
Trey Burton, if you take out the 2 games where he replaced Zach Ertz, because you can't count that usage, he had 18 targets.
Yeah.
Through the season.
Exactly.
So spending a second-round
bad
pick
for Dallas
on a pass-catching tight end is just surprising. I'm sure they know what they're doing, but it was
Here's what's
surprising.
great. There's so many rumors about that. Into the 1st round was going to be Geis. What's the running back they're going to replace?
They could have
LeGarrette
drafted
Blount?
Geis.
Absolutely.
multiple times. Oh,
And-
I'm just saying-
never mind. Just once.
Well,
I
just
forgot the pick
right here, they
situation.
could have
Yeah.
drafted Darius Geis for the backfield, and they didn't.
Yeah, so I think a big winner is Jay Ajayi, Corey Clement, and the re-signed Darren Sproles.
I agree.
You have those 3 guys back, and no one else coming to. LeGarrette Blount is gone, and no one is coming in to replace him.
I think Corey Clement's going to end up being one of the better values in redraft leagues.
I don't disagree.
There's no way that Jay Ajayi is not being drafted well ahead of him, and there's a good chance, in my opinion, that Corey Clement has as much fantasy production.
He's a great dynasty target.
I think he's going to end up on our Ultimate Draft Kit
Oh.
value list.
He could.
It's possible.
None of Donnell Pumphrey has anything
Oh,
to
yeah.
say about it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you and your San Diego State guys. I mean, let's move on.
Redskins.
All right, they did grab Darius Geis. They got him in the 2nd round, late 27th pick of the second 27th pick of the 2nd round, right?
Yes, and he's still my number 2.
Really?
Rookie, yeah.
Wow.
I understand the fall, but he fell to a perfect spot. I get not 100% perfect because Chris Thompson's there. Chris Thompson is the 3rd down guy, but you spend a 2nd-round draft capital on this bruiser for that team that wants to run and funnel the offense through the running back. I love it. I still think that he is. I think he's an incredible player and was going to be a stud.
It was a great landing spot. I mean, it's a spot that last year we were hoping someone
Their
really good win.
backfield, if you remember last year, it was like thin ice. I mean, you had injuries. P. Ryan had a game or 2 where he looked okay, but he struggled with things like fumbles with 2 different injuries during the year. Then they lost even their backups behind them. They lost. They need somebody to come in and stabilize it, and Geis has the ability to do that. I think it obviously. I mean, P. Ryan's a big loser in this situation because he was.
P. Ryan and Rob Kelly are likely finished,
and Chris Thompson, he's going to have his role. But they've already made it clear that they're not going to overutilize him. And if you have a capable pass catcher in Geis, it doesn't help him. It doesn't help Chris Thompson.
I've never viewed Geis really as a very capable pass catcher. I think this is actually good news for Chris Thompson because defenses are going to be worn down from a Geis type player, and then you bring in that 3rd down pass catching. I don't think Geis will eat into Chris Thompson's role.
They did not address the wide receiver position in the draft until the late 7th round. So
But-
essentially, Crowder, Richardson, Doxson have it on lockdown.
they're pretty safe. But I did want to mention just briefly the receiver, Trey Quinn, who started his collegiate career at LSU before moving over to SMU, but he dominated. dominated at SMU. This is
and your 7th rounders.
No,
That's like the 4th, 7th rounder you keep bringing up.
I just want people to be aware of the name. I'm not saying he is going to be a thing, but his production profile is incredible for what he did last year.
You had him high in your your collegiate model?
Yeah, I mean, 114 receptions, over 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns.
That's
some
production.
He beasted. But it's a long shot for him to do anything.
Cardinals.
Let's move over to the NFC West, talk about our hometown Arizona
Our Cardinals,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah. I'm glad some people on YouTube gave you
grief you deserved.
grief for your flip-flopping. You're back and forth.
Now, according to Mike, it wasn't flip-flopping. It was a con the whole time.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
See, if it was a con, though, then he would answer this next question differently. How much do you love Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings?
Oh, I still love him.
Yeah.
All right.
So it was a con that came easy to him. Is the way it goes. All right, the Cardinals. They traded up. They got a bargain. They moved up. They grabbed Josh Rosen. And look, for the long-term viability of this offense, for somebody like David Johnson, who, much like Lev Bell or Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh, where we want to look to the future, or maybe you look at Odell Beckham Jr. in New York and you say, hey, what does it look like 3-4 years down the line? Having Josh Rosen there to compete with Sam Bradford, it helps. He's supposed to be the franchise quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. And then they added Christian Kirk, one of the most electric players in college football, in the second round, a player that I think walks into the building and makes an immediate day one offensive impact on the Arizona Cardinals in the return game, in the screen game. You can run reverses with him. You can play him inside, although Larry Fitzgerald's got that on lockdown.
That's the interesting thing for Christian Kirk is this season with Larry Fitzgerald back manning the slot. Christian Kirk was primarily a slot receiver in college, so it will be interesting to see for fantasy purposes this season if he can translate at all to the
What's
outside.
really cool to me about this is, Christian Kirk, when he was talking about Harmon, was talking about how he wanted the opportunity to go outside. That was a desire. And when I know he didn't run out of the outside a lot, but when he did in college, he was great. He didn't look like he couldn't do it. So I think this year with Larry in the slot, it does give Christian Kirk an opportunity. I agree with you, Andy. David Johnson's a big longer-term winner in Dynasty because the first 4 picks for the Cardinals, you could tell what their focus was, look, we've got a defense that can compete. Our offense is missing a lot of pieces. So when you go out and you grab Josh Rosen, Christian Kirk, followed up with a good center in Mason Cole, and then another running back behind him in Chase Edmonds, you're saying we need to build a little bit more of the future on offense. I don't know that there were any big losers other than to me.
Chad Williams to me, because Christian Kirk comes in, and
maybe
the way I have this team projected, and I did my initial Cardinal projections yesterday, is I have Christian Kirk with the second most receptions on the roster. And so when you have a player that's going to come in, and at least by my estimation, I have him about 61 receptions, I think. But it hurts Chad Williams, who's very unproven. You have J.J. Nelson. You have Bryce Butler, who's been signed.
I don't know if you know this, but Christian Kirk is also unproven.
Ooh, them fighting words to me, bro.
Yeah, but he had a year. What I'm saying is Chad Williams had a year to prove himself already.
Fair.
And he still stands unproven.
Yes.
Therefore, he has to do it. I mean, that doesn't generally work well with rookie wide receivers to have – Devontae Parker comes to mind and these other players. So I don't look at Chad Williams. I looked at with a more filled, a glass half full before. Now it's a glass half empty.
That's fine. Chase Edmonds is the backup for the Arizona Cardinals at the running back position. He was a mega producer at Ford, shortened season this past year, but his numbers are ridiculous.
You like him more than Elijah Penny as a backup to David Johnson?
Yes, I do.
All right, let's move on.
Rams.
All right, the Rams, well, they had a lot of picks by quantity, but they didn't have any early. So their first pick was the 25th pick of the 3rd round. They went offensive tackle. In the 4th round, they went center, solidifying the depth and play of the offensive line. Winners and losers from this roster, though, I mean, they're other than John Kelly, which we can talk about in the 6th round,
Yeah, John Kelly's a loser here, and I like John Kelly. I said that earlier in the show. He was one of the guys I was really excited to see where he landed. When you go to the 6th round, first of all, it doesn't matter where you landed. You have far fewer opportunities. If you don't prove yourself every second, then you don't get a chance to pick yourself back up. You were not, heavy capital. But then, like for instance, in our fantasy dynasty rookie draft that we just completed this morning, I had the opportunity to draft John Kelly in the 3rd round, and I'm just between him and some other guys, and I'm like, okay, let's say I believe that if Todd Gurley goes down, John Kelly's going to be able to step in and be a very good producer. But then
he might not even have that job.
He goes back to nothing if Todd Gurley's back.
Yeah.
This isn't
he's
a job.
Handcuff.
It's not even a job he could ever win. So to me, he's a huge loser from pre-draft. The Rams offense stays the same, though. I mean, it is what you saw last year, just with the swap of the wide receiver position.
Yeah, I was going to say they've already gone out and made a splash with Brandon Cooks. And Malcolm Brown is still there and showed well behind Gurley. They don't just hand backup jobs to 6th-round picks. You have to earn that job. So he doesn't even have. When I was looking at trading deep into our dynasty draft because I'm the Gurley owner. That's the person targeting John Kelly.
Yes, exactly.
Is hey, maybe that's the handcuff. Anything else from that roster, Mike, that you want to address?
Nope.
49ers.
All right, a little more interesting here. 1st round, grabbing an offensive tackle. Going to keep Jimmy G as handsome as can be. Keep him upright.
You got to protect that face.
Keep that face pretty.
That face that launched 1,000 ships.
Yeah, and won 5 games to end the year.
I thought it was 6.
Yeah, 6 and 0.
Oh man,
technically 5 as well.
That is true.
He won 3.
He won the last game of the season. Jimmy G is the biggest winner here for the Niners. Because
Dante Pettis in the 2nd round.
Yes, not only did they get the offensive tackle, but they traded up to get Dante Pettis. I watched a lot of film on Dante Pettis post-draft. I just took him in our draft because when Kyle Shanahan trades up to get a guy, Pierre Garçon is long in the tooth. He's not going to be around playing at a high level for
He's got
several more years.
saber-toothed tiger.
And
fangs, they're so long.
And I the opportunity for Pettis having been traded up into the 2nd round to be used in a good system, and that, a lot of people thought in free agency the San Francisco 49ers were going to make a big splash because there's an opportunity there. I realize they have Marcus Goodwin/Greatwin and Pierre Garçon, but there is, over the next 2 or 3 years, there's a huge opportunity for a wide receiver to step up, and the first guy that's going to get a legitimate crack at it is Dante Pettis, who I liked the film.
I do think that the drafting of Dante Pettis, it does slightly damage some of the fringe pass catchers in San Francisco, the guys that we're kind of looking at and saying, like the tight end position, where we've been like, maybe George Kittle has a little bit of life to him. It doesn't help those guys have the opportunity to break out when you spend a 2nd round on a wideout.
Trent Taylor.
So,
yeah.
All right, moving on.
Seahawks.
Oh, Jason.
Woo,
a penny for your thoughts?
Oh.
I still don't believe in – look, Rashad Penny's going to have every opportunity there. Bad offensive line, tough division, bad team, got to stay healthy. Other people, Chris Carson, still there.
Yeah.
Rashad Penny is not to me, he's not a shoo-in to be productive. I'd like running backs on really good teams, and I'm not sure that, with good offensive lines.
That argument is completely valid and legitimate, but he will get volume. Rashad Penny will touch the ball over 300 times.
Well, I guess
season.
Yes. You think that's going to happen?
Yes.
300 times.
Yeah, easily over 300. Between carries and receptions, he will be over 300 touches.
Yeah,
I'll water bet that right now.
Do it.
Easily.
I love that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Water bet.
Yeah,
I
because
just want to make sure you understand. I said touches. I'm not saying 300 carries.
I understand that.
Okay.
300 touches.
Well, sometimes when you make a bet with Jason after the fact,
I know.
he
Don't
goes,
worry about that with me. Don't worry about that with me.
You are clowns and you are idiots and you are
I don't think
buffoons.
300 touches is in his future. No,
I
don't.
do think that I think that's a fair over-under is to say 300.
So would you say over-under, Jay?
Man,
Get on board, you coward.
Look, I haven't statted him out yet, and I don't want to let my love for
This is
Rashad
what you're
Penny.
talking about. This is what you're talking about, Mike.
What, me have logic and think through things and help the Foot Clan? Listen, Foot Clan, listen to me because I loved Rashad Penny. He was my favorite running back prospect, not like who I thought best. That's clearly Saquon Barkley. But my favorite guy at the running back position. No, not even. Kieran Allen was here. Rashad Penny was here. And for those of you not on YouTube, my hands are far apart. Rashad Penny was super productive, very talented. I liked how he ran. I liked his vision. I liked his yards after contact. I liked everything about him. For the Seattle Seahawks to grab him in the first round, and I realize the poor offensive line. That's a legitimate concern. But Chris Carson had good games. Kristen Michael had good games. You had people who were productive. Thomas Rawls had great games behind a terrible offensive line. When you have a running quarterback, it can be fixed. But they were not good enough talents, and they couldn't stay healthy. So barring injury, I do think Rashad Penny has the volume and the talent. You put the opportunity and talent together, I think he's going to be,
Yeah, what does that really translate to, though, so that people listening can understand fantasy-wise what you have him ranked as? Because my concern is this defense has been decimated. This team is on the downtrend to me. And, a team like Cleveland had, Isaiah Crowell had 200 carries last year.
Prior to statting him out, I
just compared the Seahawks to the Browns, and I'm really sorry, Seattle. Yeah, that's not a fair comparison.
Pete Carroll is a good coach,
but
Hugh Jackson is not.
Whose back do they climb upon?
Rashad.
No. Russell Wilson's who they climb upon.
I think they want to
when they're losing. If they're losing and their defense is not good, they're going to throw the ball. Yeah, they don't get a choice to run.
I believe that Rashad Penny, I'm guessing that he'll be around my RB16. So I'm not saying he's going to be a locked and loaded RB1, but I can't fathom him not finishing as an RB2.
20 to 24. That'd be my guess.
So I'll go higher.
All that talk for a slight gap. All right. Anything? What else is going on with the Seahawks outside of the first-round selection of Rashad Penny? Any other winners and losers for you? I mean, the existing wide receiver core there, they didn't draft anybody.
They spent their first 3 rounds on offensive line, as they should. Oh, wait a minute. No, they didn't. They Coltsed of old, and they did grab someone in the 5th round.
They Coltsed?
Yes.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Michael Gallup should have gone to the Colts.
Oh,
just saying.
Yeah, that would have worked. Or the Broncos.
Trey Boo Boo went to the Bears.
Yes.
For this show's sake, Gallup should have gone to the Broncos or the Colts.
And we'll give a quick shout out here to Matt Harmon. Great. Best friend of the show.
Acquaintance of the show.
But a wide receiver who he liked coming out of college, and he tweeted about
I'm guessing he's a 7th-round draft pick on this team?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he poked his head out of the bushes on Twitter and just kind of mentioned, is this the year that Tyler Lockett can finally do something?
Yes!
You just said Russell Wilson has to carry, and this team is Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett
they lost
at
Jimmy
the wide
Graham.
receiver
crew. They lost Paul Richardson. They didn't replace a wide receiver. You cannot say that Tyler Lockett is not a big winner.
From the draft?
From the draft.
Sure.
Bears.
All right, the Bears, they've had a lot of offseason moves, and they solidified their offensive line a little bit. 2 second-round picks. They went with a center, James Daniels, and then Anthony Miller, who
oh, man.
It seems like the Twitter universe is Anthony Miller's best friend. I mean, talk to me about Anthony Miller and the implications for that signing on this offense. I
really liked Anthony Miller coming out of college, spending the draft capital on the 2nd round on a wide receiver. I am so happy with what the Chicago Bears are doing this entire offseason. You made the move to get your franchise quarterback last year. Let him succeed. Allen Robinson, Trey Burton, great offensive minds.
Taylor Gabriel.
Running things. Taylor Gabriel. And now Anthony Miller in the draft. This is what you
still have Kevin White. Still projected as a starter. Robinson,
no.
White, Miller. That'll be your starting 3.
I think Taylor Gabriel will start over White, but it could go either way.
Oh, no way. No way.
I'll waterbed.
You think Kevin White's a starter? They're done with him.
They're not even close to done.
Waterbed.
Not even close. You're not done with the 4th pick in the draft.
This regime had nothing to do with Kevin White. This is a brand new crew. But
anyway,
my point, okay, let's say Kevin White pans out. Fine. But what they are doing is they have the quarterback on his cheap contract right now, and you are loading him up with offensive weapons. This is what you have to do.
Yeah,
I still like Trubisky.
I'm fine.
I think they gave him nothing last year, and they had a very underrated defense last year. So if Nagy,
agreed, and offensive line,
if he's all he's cracked up to be, you've got all the weapons there.
Trubisky, I don't see how he fails. Like, he might not be a star, but I don't see how you can fail with the improvements to the offensive line, the run game that they have, and now all the pass-catching options. Like, just throw it to someone.
And John Fox is gone.
Yes, I mean, that's a huge
deal.
upgrade.
I've tried to avoid all of the Goff the comparisons between the Rams and Bears, but they're just they're just so in your face. Offensive coordinator comes from, a great system and
gets rid of an old curmudgeon,
inherits a second year quarterback and equips them with a bunch of weapons and then doesn't,
So we've
we've
got a Jeff Fisher bathroom. Do we need a John Fox bathroom?
I'd be fully on board with that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, NFL, we need Bears. You have to make this happen. Make sure the rest of the NFL sees that this is what you should be doing. The old school football is gone. It's dead. Move forward.
Lions.
All right, the Lions move forward. New head coach, Matt Patricia.
And my ex.
Oh, he's got the beard back, too. Thank goodness for that.
Well, to be fair, he shaved right before the draft.
You know who
And
the
then
big winners of this
just flexed
draft
his
and
muscles.
offseason are? Matthew Stafford's a winner to me.
Really?
First-round center, already solidifying the offensive line. And you know what? Let's just give him a little backfield, maybe.
Carry on my wayward
Is that four times? 4 times?
Not enough.
4 times the charm.
No, to me, I don't love Kerryon Johnson as a fantasy player like Jason does.
I was going to interject here and say I do need to like lay out what I believe of Kerryon Johnson. I think he's a very talented player and he will succeed as the years go on. And I was trading for him in Dynasty thinking that he has the ability to be an RB2 this year, but it is still a crowded backfield. Right now, LeGarrette Blount is there. I don't think LeGarrette Blount will be there next year, but this year, LeGarrette Blount's going to be the goal line back. Theo Riddick is still there to siphon some of the receptions. I think their best option, and the fact that they traded up into the second, says Kerryon will get volume, but he's not going to be near that 300 touch count or anywhere close to it. So temper, I like Kerryon Johnson quite a bit, and especially in Dynasty. But this year,
unlike
it
your
will be a
arguments,
struggle to get to that. I see him as a borderline best case RB2.
unlike your Seattle arguments for Chris Carson having games of being productive and these other backs, that didn't happen in Detroit.
No.
Running backs in Detroit weren't productive. They weren't good. And we've seen the good and bad of offensive line upgrades, right? We've come out and we've said, man, that Browns #1 rated offensive line did nothing. They did nothing for the running backs last year, but adding Andrew Whitworth to the Gurley backfield did a lot. So, yes, jury's out. Backfield's a mess. It's still going to be a pass-first team, but to me, Stafford's a winner. If you equip him with better weapons and a better offensive line, and he's already a very, very good quarterback, guaranteed for 4,000 plus, 25 plus.
Yeah, first round on the offensive line. They got in T.J. Lane.
Young coach is doing work.
Yeah.
Packers.
All right, sorry, I read Josh Jackson's name, but I meant to say Mike. Mike,
Yes.
what do you think of the Packers draft?
I thought they did what they needed to do,
Which was defense.
They went defense with their first 3 picks. That was the problem. And they
That and not having Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
But yes.
but even moving forward with Aaron Rodgers if you put Aaron Rodgers on that team, the problem would be the defense.
Yes.
And they did what the Packers do, which is load up with a bunch of middle round wide receivers and hope that one of them sticks. They have a decent history of getting wide receivers. The big loser, at least for draft Twitter, is I talked about on Tuesday's show, Equanimous St. Brown fell all
Wide
the way
receiver.
to wide receiver. Thank you. Fell all the way to the 6th round. Not just that, he was the 3rd wide receiver.
That's the bigger
that the
problem.
Packers picked.
Yes. That's the problem that I have with him. At first I was like, okay, he was a huge loser, but he was also a winner because he went to the Packers.
Right.
He has Aaron Rodgers. But the fact that they took 2 other wide receivers ahead of him means this is a roster bubble type of guy. And if he makes the team, him getting playing time is probably not happening. Now, I think he was talented. Matt Harmon liked him as well and what he saw. So could he fight his way through and work his way up? Absolutely. But I'm betting against EQ, and I
am too.
I'm going to update my rookie rankings again and again and again, but I'm dropping him further.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
And I don't think it's great news for Geronimo Allison that 3 wide receivers were part of this draft class in the top 6 rounds. Again, just because Allison hasn't been thrown into that role on a permanent basis. He'll have every opportunity. I still would expect him to start over these 3 guys, but somebody could emerge and get the eye of old Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, all the fringe wide receivers, and there's 100 of them in Green Bay, definitely get hurt by this. But I think Devonta Adams is a big winner because they didn't get a Cortland Sutton type of guy, and so he is
Randall Cobb for that matter as well.
Yes, I agree with that.
Nobody's talking about Randall Cobb.
They should be.
We are now. Randall Cobb.
He's going to end up in the values too.
Yes, he will.
All right, moving on.
Vikings.
That sounded like Mikings, but I think we're talking about the Vikings.
It's fair.
Well, winners and losers from this draft.
Not much here.
Their team is pretty built.
Yeah, I mean their offense was intact. They spent a second-round pick on the offensive line, which is always helpful. They didn't grab anyone that's going to get in the way of the pieces that you love. You love Dalvin Cook, you love Thielen, you love Diggs, and nobody's interjecting themselves in here based on this draft. An improved offensive line, hopefully, so I like it.
Big loser. Kai Forbath.
The kicker.
Kicker for the Minnesota Vikings.
They did not grab a quote-unquote replacement for Jerick McKinnon.
Right.
Dalvin.
So, I mean, Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray more so gets the kind of backup endorsement.
Latavius Murray, I think he is going to be undervalued a lot.
He's going to be annoying for Cook owners.
It's Dalvin Cook's job. I'm talking 65%, but that still leaves a lot of touches for Latavius Murray.
And we did have an injured Latavius Murray when Dalvin Cook was healthy last year. So they put a lot more confidence. It was like a chart that was going up over the course of the year in their confidence in Latavius Murray. They obviously spent the money. This was Zimmer's regime that spent the money on Murray. So I agree with you, Mike. That's another underrated player. All right, NFC South.
Falcons.
Surprise, surprise, Calvin Ridley lands in Atlanta, bringing back the old memories of when they had a couple of big-time wide receivers with Roddy White, and not comparing Ridley to White directly, just saying you had a couple weapons. It's better for Julio when you have more weapons.
It's so good for Matt Ryan. I mean, Matt Ryan.
Yeah, he's the winner.
Matt Ryan is and has always been as good as his weapons. He does not make his weapons better, but he utilizes who he has. If he's got Roddy White and Julio both at the top of their game,
or Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's going to utilize them. But, I really liked Calvin Ridley coming into the draft. I know some of the draft Twitter combine metrics didn't really like him, but based on what he did in college and where he won, this is a perfect spot for him. Now, I'm not seeing Calvin Ridley as anybody in a redraft league that I'm going to go after or expect anything big for. But for Matt Ryan, I think it's going to open the offense up, and it's just such a good pick. Might not be the best, though, for Mohamed Sanu, who looked like he was really locked into that wide receiver 2 role.
Last year, Sanu was 67 for 703 and 5.
I think he'll be
And that's about the line that I gave Calvin Ridley this year. I have Ridley at about 68 for 704. I've got Sanu a small downtick in target percentage on that offense.
Interesting for dynasty purposes, running back Ito Smith out of Southern Mississippi, another mega producer, and not just in the rushing game, huge production in the passing game, 3 years, over 40 receptions. And as they look forward, Tevin Coleman is a free agent next year with the money invested into Devonta Freeman. I see a close to 0% chance that
Coleman's not
that they
coming
hold
back.
on to Coleman. So Ito Smith, he feels like a useless dynasty pick this year. Next year, if they keep that 2-back system, and I would imagine they will, it's going to be Freeman and Ito Smith.
Yeah, good insight there. All right, let's move on.
Panthers.
All right, the Panthers. They drafted DJ Moore in the first round, one of my favorite wideouts. And this is good news for Cam Newton. He needed another target. I've been, now you guys might disagree, but I've been in the camp where Funchess, I think he exists well as, best case 1B type of guy.
I would agree.
Yeah,
and DJ Moore is hyper talented. You have DJ Moore, Funchess, Olsen back, McCaffrey out of the backfield. It's affected my projections for Cam Newton this year. What do you guys think?
Much better offensive coordinator as well for the Panthers and how they run. So I think that the entire Panthers team gets a tick up. I obviously this is great news for Cam. And then the other huge winner, gargantuan winner, is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And maybe you could even
and
say
low key Cameron Artis-Payne is a
Cameron
winner as well.
Artis-Payne, absolutely. I mean, they lost a very important, very used piece in Jonathan Stewart, and they replaced him with nothing.
Right.
Which was, in their defense, equal value.
Equal value, but a lot of carries to be distributed.
Jonathan Stewart touched the ball 206 times last year.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have Artis-Payne stepping right in.
Yeah, and
that is a possible destination for another depth running back. One of these guys.
Oh, don't do it, CJ. Don't do it, CJ.
No, maybe not CJ, but even if Adrian Peterson says he's going to play this year,
right,
and he had periods of production last year, that's a possible destination. There are players out there, DeMarco Murray and others, that will find a home over the next couple of months. So you have to look out for that. But right now, the door is open for Cameron Artis-Payne, and he will run through it violently.
I groaned for DJ Moore because he was my favorite wide receiver. This is not the ideal landing spot for fantasy production for DJ Moore. He's going to be fine. I don't know.
DJ Moore, I assume you're projecting Funchess ahead of him.
I haven't done it yet. That's an interesting question. I
have Funchess ahead of him.
I think they're going to be close.
Yeah, that's about where I have it too. Torrey Smith, they picked him up, offseason acquisition. DJ Moore hurts Torrey Smith. But Torrey Smith is hurt by Torrey Smith over the last few years.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with Torrey Smith is that it's
Torrey
Smith.
He set. You know how you set your goals on like a whiteboard before the season? He's always writing 40 receptions up there as the goal. And he hasn't hit it yet. But eventually –
he's aiming high.
He really never had 40 receptions?
No, he has, but not in a long time. Not since Baltimore days. I mean, last year, 36 receptions, and I was surprised he had that many.
Yeah.
36 for 430 yards, 2 touchdowns in Philly, and he got the boot.
He just likes to make high goals, Aim high. Aim high, Torrey.
Aim high. Wait, you might miss the sun, but you'll get the stars?
Right. You might get 20, but at least you aimed for 40.
We inspire.
Saints.
Well, they're a good offense already.
Yep.
But they did spend a third-round pick on a wideout.
And he becomes immediately very interesting to me. Traquan Smith out of UCF had a monstrous final year in college, almost 60 receptions, over 1,100 yards, about 20 yards of reception, and 13 touchdowns.
Doesn't it mean something a little more when a, offensive guru like Sean Payton drafts you? And
yes.
You go, what did he know about that player? Like Alvin Kamara last year and what they've done, Michael Thomas. There's a little extra like, Traquan Smith.
Yes.
Third-round pick.
100%. I'm speaking more of in a dynasty situation. I'm not sure for redraft this year that he will be anything with
he could hurt
the
Brandon
weapons.
Coleman.
Oh, Coleman's done.
Well, Brandon Coleman right now is the number 2.
Right. Well,
so I'm just bringing that up. He's the 2. I mean, you can argue that Cameron Meredith will take that job away from him.
And Ginn is still. I would say Ginn is the 2, but Traquan Smith is going to force his way up the depth chart.
Okay. Any other winners, losers from this roster? I mean, a vote of confidence in Drew Brees, not another quarterback drafted.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing to watch for the draft. I thought they would go grab a backup, but you got to – and the winners, not that they need anything, but Kamara and Mark Ingram. We saw they wanted a 3-headed monster to start last year with Adrian Peterson, but they changed from that, and it looks like it'll be just those 2 guys again.
Yeah, Boston Scott in the 6th round is not going to strike fear in any fantasy owners.
Buccaneers.
All right, the Buccaneers. They are the home of Ronald Jones.
Look,
the second running back, top of the 2nd round. I have a question for you on Ronald Jones, Jason, and it's simple. Ronald Jones this year. This is a this-year question. Ronald Jones or Kerryon Johnson, fantasy production for 2018.
This year, fantasy production, I would take Ronald Jones. I think
I would agree.
The opportunity is going to be there. more assuredly for him than it would be for Kerryon Johnson. I really, 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 really did not like Ronald Jones in college. I know
I was a big
more,
fan. I was
I'm
a
more
very
on the
big
minority
fan.
there.
Yeah.
I didn't like his tape, but I mean, if you look at my dynasty rankings, we said pre-draft, like the best spot to land in is Tampa Bay because they were improving their line. They want to run the ball, and they desperately needed someone to come in and get the ball 250 times. And they draft Ronald Jones. So, look, for fantasy purposes, I love Ronald Jones now. I still don't know if his talent and weight will translate. We don't know how he'll be as a pass catcher, but opportunity trumps talent, especially at the running back position, and his opportunity is locked and loaded. So,
They did bring back Charles Sims on a 1-year deal.
And they still have Peyton Barber, and Peyton Barber's a big loser in this draft.
Yes,
yeah,
he is.
huge loser.
Second-round investment.
He's a Brian Ketron.
Before we close the show out, I do want to let you know a little insight to our dynasty draft and how it went. Now, this was immediately following the NFL draft, but our first round, I just figured I'd read it out.
Yeah.
What happened in our league, because Ronald Jones, very relevant in this. Saquon Barkley went number 1.
Oh!
Surprise.
Oh!
Darius Geis went number 2. Ronald Jones went number 3.
I've seen it a lot.
Rashad Penny went 4.
Great pick.
Sony Michel.
To yourself,
Good
Andy.
fit.
My fitness consigliere, Michelle.
I took Sony Michel. Nick Chubb went 6. DJ
All
Moore.
running backs to this point.
Yeah, DJ Moore went 7. Calvin Ridley 8. Royce Freeman 9. Kerryon Johnson 10. Not to Jason. And then Dak. I'm sorry. And then Christian Kirk. Sorry, not Dak. Christian Kirk went 11. Cortland Sutton 12. And I had tweeted out right after the draft. I saw 7 running backs I would take ahead of wide receivers in dynasty drafts because I would roll Royce Freeman up above DJ Moore and Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
I still feel that way right now.
I was at the 107, all lined up to take DJ Moore, but the Panthers situation, I don't see a world where his ceiling, all of a sudden DJ Moore is producing at a wide receiver 1 level.
It's amazing when you look at Cam Newton's historical numbers, and obviously last year, great fantasy player, 700-plus rushing yards. His rookie season, he threw for over 4,000 yards, which was unprecedented. Shout out to Steve Smith.
Yeah.
But that does speak to the weapons, right? He hasn't
Yeah.
really had. You can say what you want. I don't think Kelvin Benjamin's the one either. I think they dealt with what Greg Olson's been their one since Steve Smith left.
Yeah.
And he hasn't thrown for 4,000 yards since then. So do I think he's going to get there? No, but I think he's above. I think Cam Newton's going to be above 3,300 yards last year. I think you're going to be in the 3,500, 3,600 range. It will be very, very fun to watch these guys in preseason. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. As always, we appreciate your reviews of this podcast on Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen. A reminder again, you can go to footclangiveaway.com, enter to win a free Le'Veon Bell autographed jersey. We're also giving away an autographed Alvin Kamara football to our listeners, so you can check that out at footclangiveaway.com.
And now that the draft is over and we know where the rookies are, it is a great time to get in best ball.
Yes.
Get in early right now while not everybody has the great understanding that you have. Join us at draft.com/ballers.
We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.